We're road tripping around the UK in Helga, our vintage motorhome, and we've just made the spontaneous decision to take her up to Shetland. Join us as we have a month of adventures hiking around the islands and searching for wildlife, including orcas. Our aim was to cross the border into Scotland and travel north to Aberdeen. On the way we stopped at Loch Lomond National Park and took Roland sailing as it was pretty windy and all it took was a bag to get us going. To break up the long drive, we stopped at this waterfall which looked like a scene from Jurassic Park or Tomb Raider. We had to climb down these precarious edges and it was pretty difficult actually, especially in flip-flops like Craig was. But boy was it worth it. We reached the pool at the bottom and got this insane view of this jungle-like scenery. We just couldn't believe that landscapes like this existed in Scotland. The tropical vibe vanished a bit when we saw what we thought was a hand in the water, but it turned out to just be a glove, thank God. It ended up being even trickier trying to get back out of the area, so we had a bit of a struggle, but it was definitely worth the adventure. And now we have a 15-hour ferry to take us to Shetland, and we're so excited. The ferry was extremely expensive for us, so we couldn't really afford a cabin to sleep in, and we opted for the free seats instead. We were lucky and had a really calm sailing, but even still we didn't get a wink of sleep. We wasted no time and headed south straight away to Sumburgh Nature Reserve. We're on our way to see some puffins. Sumburgh sits on the very southern tip of the mainland island, and from May to mid-August it's home to thousands of seabirds, including puffins. They spend most of their life out at sea, but during the summer months they come to islands and cliff tops to breed. We've only seen a couple of them in Norway, so this was such a treat seeing so many up close. After successfully ticking puffins off our list, our next goal was to explore the islands and hopefully see orcas. We didn't have much of a plan of where to go first, as we only just decided to come here a few days ago, but on our drive we spotted these seals on a white sand beach. Then we decided to make our way to our first ever tombolo, which is a double-sided beach. It was pretty cloudy weather, but I'd imagine in sunshine this beach would look spectacular. We followed a trail along the headland where we got these incredible views of the jagged cliffs. The next couple of days were spent exploring the coastline on the mainland and trying to figure out the best route to take around the islands. It didn't take us long to spot our first otter. Shetland has the highest density of otters in all of Europe, and it's one of the few places in the world where you can see them in the daytime. They're extremely shy animals though, so we had to be really careful not to make any noise or move, otherwise they'd spot us. So as soon as this otter dove down to catch some food, we would run like hooligans along the shore trying to get closer to him. And then we'd crouch down and be completely still when he came back up. Another thing we were really excited about seeing in Shetland was obviously the Shetland ponies that live here. They were even cuter than I expected, and I absolutely love them.
Oh my god, that's adorable.
Except for this one that wasn't interested in strokes.
Walking back to the van after she's been rejected for strokes.
Then it was time to catch a ferry north to the island of Yell. We didn't exactly get a warm welcome from the locals, and the Arctic terns were absolutely brutal. These birds migrate all the way from Antarctica to the UK to breed. And we had no idea that they were nesting here or that they would attack us. I mean, I was in hysterics when Craig was getting attacked, but it's pretty damn scary when it happened to me.
They stopped!
We actually left the island of Yell and continued north to Unst because our plan was to slowly work our way back down. On the northwestern tip of Shetland is Hermanus Nature Reserve. It's home to Britain's largest seabird, the gannet, and there's over 25,000 that come here to breed. They're really impressive birds with a wingspan up to 6 feet wide. They dive into the sea to catch their food, and they can hit the water at speeds of 60 miles per hour. And this is what the funny little chicks look like. The huge cliffs at Hermanus were also home to thousands of puffins. My mission this time was to try and capture them flying in their frantic manner. Their wings are flapping 400 times every single minute, so it was pretty tricky to photograph them, but I think I did a good job of getting a video of them here. It was pretty crazy how close we could get to the puffins. We were just sitting near the path and they were nesting right below us. The weather's been so cloudy lately, so when we got this rare blue sky day, we made an effort to go and check out some of Shetland's beaches. We saw some kids playing on a beach and they were wearing bike helmets to protect them from Arctic turns. We ended up doing this really lovely cliff walk where we got a view of the turquoise waters below us. One thing we loved discovering in Shetland were these honesty boxes filled with homemade treats. Unst is the most northern island in Great Britain and it's thought to be the first place where Vikings set foot in the North Atlantic. So there were some Viking sites along the way, including this replica longship. Helga was continuing to treat us well on our road trip and we were making the most of her oven on cloudy, rainy days. Funny guys.
Yeah, still got it!
We were always very happy when our hikes led us past Shetland ponies.
Don't be scared, they're tiny little horses. They're like ponies. Oh, he's coming, look at that.
And Craig thought this one would be happy with its hair tucked behind its ears so it wasn't in its eyes. They have a very 80s rock style look to them, which is hilarious. We're still waiting and hoping to see orcas, but until then we're seeing seals almost every day. And we're always keeping our eyes peeled for any elusive otters. This is an example of our Rambo style walk when we try and get closer to them. And it paid off this time as we had our closest encounter with an otter so far. We managed to creep up on this pebbly beach and sit quietly as this otter came in with his freshly caught fish. After exploring Unst, we made our way back south to Yell Island and we ended up spotting a lot more otters. Apparently otters have really good picture memory of the landscape they're used to, so if there's a human standing on the horizon, they'll recognise that as being something abnormal. So we were trying to hide on this steep grassy slope without him seeing us, and he ended up falling asleep on the rock, which must mean we did a pretty good job of staying hidden. We also started spotting families of otters, so this was a mum and her pup who had just caught a fish. When they finished eating, they went fishing again, so we took that opportunity to get even closer to the shoreline. We ended up getting just a couple of meters away from these otters and we sat so quietly, the wind must have been in the perfect direction as we were able to sit and admire them for ages. We even got to see the young one suckling on the mum, and they were having play fights all the time, which was so fun to witness. We're still yet to find orcas in Shetland. Apparently there have been a few sightings of them, but they've all been very brief and they haven't stayed around for long at all. And rumour has it they may have made their way to Orkney. We're staying optimistic though, and in the meantime we're out hiking every single day. There's not too many pathways around Shetland though. A lot of the time we're walking along rough moorland, which is really exhausting. This particular route was almost 20 kilometres long, but we ended up at this area where 3 beaches meet and it was pretty spectacular. Every hike we did was slightly different, and this area had really red coloured cliffs. We had a wall of mist come our way and we were treated to this lovely rainbow. With these red sand beaches and interesting rock formations, we felt like we were in Hawaii as opposed to Scotland. Under these humongous cliffs were a little group of seals who were just managing to avoid the water. And on one of our hikes we met this little Shetland pony who had his leg caught in a fence. Luckily it wasn't barbed wire, so Craig was able to help him wriggle his leg out. Can I help? Freedom! Freedom! He wasn't very appreciative afterwards though. And then Craig spent ages trying to fix the fence so it didn't happen again. This evening was the first night in 3 weeks where we had a proper sunset. It's been so cloudy that we haven't had any colour in the evenings, but tonight the sun was shining. I know I've shown a lot of otter footage already, but this was one of our favourite encounters. This otter seemed to be pretty aware of us being there, but I don't think he quite knew if we were a human or not. So we got as comfortable as we could on a very steep slope, and we sat dead still and were able to watch him for over an hour. Eventually he caught this huge fish or eel, and it was still alive when he brought it up to the shore right in front of us. He was swimming so close to us that I was struggling to film because my camera was too zoomed in. And then he picked this rock as his dining table and began to devour this live eel. It was an incredible wildlife encounter and was like watching a live documentary. We've now been in Shetland for a whole month, and this is our first day of pure blue skies. So we made the most of it and headed to the best beaches on the main island. We were pretty surprised to see this really friendly cat just hanging out on the beach. We spoke to some locals, and apparently he spends his summers down at the beach socialising with people and catching mice. Seeing as we had such good weather, we couldn't resist jumping in the sea. And it was so cold. We're closer to Norway here than we are England. In fact, locals don't even speak Gaelic in Shetland. They have a dialect derived from Old Norse. We soon got used to the chilly water and ended up spending about an hour jumping in it and playing about. We've now booked our ferry from Shetland to Orkney, and it looks like we're not going to see orcas here, but we've still had the most incredible time. But the day before our ferry, we got a notification saying orcas spotted close to shore, heading south. We had 40 kilometres to drive and we were going as fast as we could, and along the way we were getting updates from more people spotting the orcas. So our plan was to drive 5 kilometres south of where they were last spotted in the hope that they would swim past us. We ended up at this little cove and were the only people there, and this is the moment when they started swimming towards us. Where are they?
Oh my god, they're here. What's happening? Oh!
I was a mess at this point. I was shaking with adrenaline and excitement. They were so close to us and were hunting just meters away.
Oh my god.
And this wasn't just one pod of orcas, this was 2 pods. This was what's known as the 27s and the 64s. So there were around 11 orcas altogether, and it's quite rare to see these 2 pods together apparently. After they passed us, we drove further south and managed to see them again, and that's how the whole day went, just catching them up. We still hadn't had breakfast, so here we are brushing our teeth at noon while waiting for the orcas to come by again.
We have been searching and successfully seeing orcas around the Shetlands for the past 8.5 hours. We're fucking wiped out, but we've had some crazy cool encounters, and we're waiting. Got a cup of tea, some banana bread, and hopefully they're going to pass by us here again, which would be, I think, the 6th time we've seen them today. They're coming!
This guy's really close, he's going into the cliffs.
After that absolutely incredible day, we thought, what if they happen to swim around the coast again tomorrow? So we cancelled our ferry.
See you, Ferry.
There were no notifications in the morning, so we made the most of the sunny weather and went for another swim. But we soon got news that they were spotted again, so we did a manic drive to try and catch up with them. It was the same 2 pods, and look how close they got to us. After spotting them that first time, we made our way further along the coast to try and see them again, and this time we went into a cove which happened to have a beach covered in seals. This meant there were also a lot of seals swimming around in the water. So the orcas teamed up. They had some on the outskirts of the cove so no seals could get out, and they began corralling the seals, trying to catch as many as they could. It was pretty brutal to watch as these seals were desperately trying to dart away, but also fascinating to watch wildlife so raw. You can just about see the seal dart away in this shot. And if you're wondering how successful the orcas were, here's some proof. Once the feeding frenzy was over, they left the cove and we continued driving south to try and see them again.
Hello? We're going to go see orcas. We can't stay.
It was pretty crazy seeing them swim in this cove, as that beach at the back is the one we were swimming at yesterday. We are absolutely exhausted and beyond grateful for all the encounters we had with these orcas, and so happy we decided to come to Shetland. We spent the next few days on the mainland, spending our time with lots of seals. We didn't get any more notifications about orcas, so we decided it was probably time for us to leave and make our way to Orkney. The ferry took us past Ferry, which is the most remote inhabited island in the UK with just 60 people living there. We're pretty sad to be leaving, but also excited to see what Orkney has to offer. Thanks for watching, and if you want to follow our adventures, click the subscribe button.